Ladies and gentlemen, there is some good news out there. Please spread the word so we can start to stem some of the volume and tidal wave of bad news that's getting everybody super depressed, starting to take a dramatic toll on our mental, physical health, our economy, and elsewhere. We're in a crisis time, no doubt, serious situations being dealt with, but there are some positive developments. Let's get right to it. Washington Examiner piece. I'm going to play a video in a second describing this better. But please read this. Go to our show notes, bongino.com/newsletter. If you want to subscribe to the show notes, I'll send you these articles every morning. I heard about this a long time ago. I'll tell you why in a minute. Can I talk about that, Paula? Yes. Without getting, okay. I have to, you'll understand why I had to ask my wife's permission there, my co-producer here in a minute. Washington Examiner headline, malaria drug sees promising signs as future coronavirus treatment. Now, you don't need to hear it from me what this malaria drug is and how it works. I'm going to play some video from Tucker Carlson's show last night with the actual MD, medical doctor, who was involved in this research, talks about it himself. It's a short cut, but I'll explain to you. But before we get to this drug, hydroxychloroquine, hydroxychloroquine. We had heard about this a little bit ago, and the reason is, for those of you who want to know a little bit more about my life here, my wife has a manageable condition and takes that drug now and is all over the research about corona. My wife is a natural preparedness person. Hurricane season, she's reading about her. She knows more about hurricanes than almost anybody else I know. Same thing with corona. She had read about this weeks ago. I was hesitant to put it out there because I'm obviously not a medical professional. I'm not here to give people medical advice. But this drug, it appears from the early, and I want to emphasize early results, hydroxychloroquine seems to be working effectively in the early results. Listen to this doctor, and this is some very, very good news. Check this out.
Hydroxychloroquine has been on the market for over 50 years with a quality safety profile. And I'm here to report that as of this morning, about 5 o'clock this morning, a well-controlled, peer-reviewed study carried out by the most eminent infectious disease specialist in the world, Didier Raoult, MD, PhD, out of the south of France, in which he enrolled 40 patients. Again, a well-controlled, peer-reviewed study that showed a 100% cure rate against coronavirus.
Huge news. The news gets even better. Again, these are early results, but that's a involved, active medical professionals on the Tucker Carlson show last night talking about dramatic results. What's the even better news? Ladies and gentlemen, this drug has been around forever. And it, relatively speaking, compared to other therapies, is super cheap and apparently easy to produce. It's been around for malaria, for, in my wife's cases, immune disorders of the immune system. I don't need to go into any specifics, but she's fine. It's but I've mentioned it kind of before on the show. Amazing. There are some positive developments out there, folks. We don't need to be doom and gloom 24/7. It's not helping. Let's just get the facts. Let's digest the facts. Let's appropriately gauge our risk based on that fact, the facts and the data out there, and let's get on with our lives. But to get on with our lives in a reasonable fashion, we have to know the risk and adjust our behavior accordingly. There are some positive developments. We don't need 24-hour doom and gloom. Please. More good news. This is the good news segment.
All right.
Time, which I rarely put up, Time magazine. The first U.S. company has announced an upcoming home COVID-19 test for the Wuhan virus from China. This is great news. Apparently, if this is legitimate, gets all the necessary approvals, and can bump up production in time, you could be able to test yourself at home. Again, there are some positive developments for people's own psychological and mental health. We don't need 24-hour doom and gloom. We need facts and data to appropriately gauge our risk. Oh, boy. More good news. Apparently, plasma treatments are having some effect. Plasma from recovered patients given to people infected with the Wuhan virus. More good news. Apparently, there's a Japanese antiviral. Again, let me emphasize, early stage research. A Japanese antiviral drug is apparently having, we can't say Japanese, gosh, that could be racist too. The liberals may jump on us there. A Japanese antiviral drug may be having some extremely positive effects on decreasing the progression of the disease and the viral load. Folks, what we need to do now is get the word out there that we're in the process now, due to this global effort, to bridge the process to a vaccine, If we can bridge the process from the outbreak to the development and widespread use of a vaccine with treatments, we may be effectively able to get our arms around this and stop what has been one of the biggest global crises of our time. I'm not talking about the risk level of the virus or anything else. I'm not gauging your health. I'm saying the crisis now is real. Regardless of what the data shows later on about the fatality rate and the contagiousness level, the R0 of the virus or not, it is now bled over into the job market, the financial market, international relations. It's now real. We now need to stem the flow of negative information with some positive stuff so we can get back to some sense of risk assessment here and normalcy in our lives.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud and follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.